Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at some platinum laners playing against one another, and we're going to be analyzing how either one of them could actually abuse the other one. So I chose platinum as the elo that we look at because it's kind of the breaking point before most people's goal in the game. Like most people who actually want to climb, like they want like diamond or something. And I don't think that most people want to go above diamond if they do want to just climb, and that's why looking at these people can be really good for us. Alright, so what do we see here? I mean, she just does whatever, but before we get into this, I'm going to say, so while there is a way that the lane is supposed to be played in a matchup and on a champion, that can vastly change depending on how the enemy plays, and if the enemy plays in a bad enough way, then the way that we're supposed to play can pretty much be the opposite of what you might expect it to be, right? So while you might want to push hard in some kind of a lane, it can also happen that you don't want to push at all in that lane because the enemy is just playing in a way that makes it abusable. Also, I hope I remember to touch on the idea of not walking up because it makes the enemy walk up. Because you see, like, okay, right now as the Syndra we're really AFK, right? So the Syndra is like really AFK, and this guy's also really AFK because you can see both of them are playing in a way where, let's say that Vel'Koz, like, I don't know, let's say that his Q reaches to like here or something, you know, like, I don't know, or here. It doesn't really matter where it reaches. And let's say that Syndra's Q reaches to like, I don't know, here or something. Like, see how this doesn't really match because neither one of them has any reason to use that spell really, unless it's for pushing. Though this guy might also start W, but he started Q, apparently. But, so what does that really tell us? Like, neither one of them is playing the game at the moment. So either one of them can choose to abuse that or to not abuse that, right? So there are a few types of, let's call them playstyles that people choose to adapt when they play a lane. So some people will start playing the lane really far up and just trying to fight and whatever, while other people will try to play the lane really far back and try to get you to come in. And then there are some people who will just like mix and match and whatever. So these two are obviously both trying to play back really hard. But what that means for us is that both of them are giving up something, right? Like this guy is giving up wave control because his Q is not going to push as well as Syndra's auto attacks and Q. And he's also not poking her. And she is giving up the chance to, say, attack his mana or dodge his spell and then actually pressure him or something, you know? But instead they both are forcing each other into a stalemate where they're just AFK. So, okay, some improper CSing, but it's okay. So then she wasted her Q for no reason on a minion, and then this guy actually realized that he can just walk up and hit her. But it makes very little sense, because this guy can hit her again, and he could also cast his Q like this, and his Q would pressure her to walk into him, and he can hit her twice. And if she walks back, which she most likely will, then he can also get the Q off, and that could be a bigger trade for him than just getting one auto attack off. But okay, sure. At least he recognized that. But she didn't recognize anything, because she has no spell, and she walks up anyway. Then this guy takes aggro, so he walks back really far. But now you can see the lane is like this again. We're just both AFK again. AFK, AFK. But she is trying to push at the moment, so okay, something. But then again, she wastes her Q for nothing, right? You need to think about how you use your spells. Because if you waste your spells like this guy, then this is an instructive moment both in terms of you being the Syndra and you being the Spellcast. Because if you're the Syndra, then you shouldn't be wasting your spells like this. And if you do, then you need to instantly start running, taking the CS, and then like backing off, and then getting your spell up. Or, because you know if you know that he has Q, I don't think that you do know, but I mean he would have used W by now if he had it. You can also walk in and you can try to trade within minions with auto attacks. That can also be okay since you also have more minions and you won't get hit by a spell. It's like whatever. Okay, sure, you have some options, but you need to like play accordingly. And this guy, first of all, I have no clue why he has Q, but okay. But secondly, like you need to walk up. Enemy has no spells. You do like 150 damage with auto attack and Q, and she does like 50 damage with an auto attack. And that's a bit of a decent trade, one might say. But where's this AFK again? So now she basically secured level 2, but I'm willing to bet she will use Q again at some point really soon. Yeah, of course she will use Q, because why wouldn't she? Then he will instantly waste his W. So in this scenario, both of them can abuse the other one. Both. Like this guy could just not waste his W on the wave, and he can actually try to hit her on top of the wave with the W, because there's no reason why he couldn't hit both, because she's permanently standing in the wave, and she also has to avoid his Qs, and she will walk into the wave when she tries to avoid Q. And she can last hit with auto attacks, and she can actually QE, QW, whatever, and get a splinter and whatever. She somehow manages to avoid his Q, but that was just him missing it, because the way that that was going, there's no way that it misses. And okay, she has 0 spells again, so walk up. Like, see? He's AFK. So this is basically what happens to a lot of people in lower elos. It's like the enemy uses their spells or position improperly, or they're weaker early, or I don't know, they go for CS or something, and you don't punish them. And this is bad. But at the same time, it's bad to overly punish, because if now he had minions that are here and are melees, and Vel'Koz doesn't use any spells, and he's just last sitting here, you don't punish that. If Vel'Koz is just here and he just wastes like his W, like you still can't punish that. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, he walks back, and then what? And you can only get bad trades in those scenarios a lot of the time, so that is something to keep in mind. And that's why adapting between playing defensive and offensive is really important. Like right now, wait, which one was it that wasted their spells? Oh yeah, this NPC. So right now, this Vel'Koz should play aggressive, right? Just go in, fight, chunk her, you know? And then after a few seconds, right, because her spells are a few seconds each, he can back off, and then he should just play back. Because at that point, he has an advantage. And then if he controls the wave, if she makes a mistake again, he just punishes her again. And then by doing this pattern a few times, like by repeating it, he can get her to say here. And if he gets her to here, then at that point, it doesn't matter what kind of trade he takes, because he can just walk up and he can always contest on the wave. And at that point, it's going to be like, okay, well, if we're both just hitting each other, then I'm just going to win. So he did walk up, but he walks up too late. Because of that, he's gotten nothing for it. So they're both just AFK. She misses a spell, she hits a spell, walk up. Same scenario. And if you're the Syndra, you want to be walking up. You want to be walking up just enough to see if he's going to actually punish you. Because if you walk back now, right? If you walk back because you have no spells, or if the Vel'Koz walks back because he uses all of his spells at some point, at that point, even a bad laner will realize that he can walk up and actually deny you. So there's no reason that you should play the game for the enemy laner, right? So now it should be even more obvious because they both have their CC spell now. This guy's every spell. Okay. Okay, they both have every spell. And now look, now they're both griefing, right? They both got used to AFKing, and now they're both just in each other's range. Though it's worse for the Vel'Koz because he should be outranging her. So yeah. But she's griefing because she's not using any spells. Like, look, this guy is literally in her range. Oh. Look. Like literally, just she can just press spells on him. She has every spell up. This is a QE, a W, full combo. No reason why this guy shouldn't lose like at least as much of his HP. But they just both got used to AFKing now, right? This is what happens. Because when you start autopiloting like this and you got a lane you're content with, then you just start playing like this. And also keep in mind, like this guy keeps clicking, right? Like, do you see these clicks? He clicks like this and this and this and whatever. Like, a lot of you do this probably, where, or well, I'm quite sure that a lot of you do this, where you just click and you're like, yeah, I'm wiggling, bro. I'm wiggling. Okay, well, let's just look at how these two are like clicking. So what are their clicks achieving at the moment? Like nothing. Okay, these two don't even wiggle that much, but these two don't have as much of the issue. But most people, what they do is, does Syndra have that issue? No, not really. Okay, but most people, they spam click like this, right? And if you're spam clicking something like this, then you should really stop that if you're low elo. It's obviously a good thing to do to spam click and click a lot and movement and whatever. But the issue is, first of all, if you're playing against Vel'Koz, you're not dodging side to side. You're just not standing in the wave, and then you're dodging like up and down because you're getting in and out of his range or whatever. Or well, not so much Vel'Koz, but more like other champs, like say like Malzahar or something is a really good example of that. But Vel'Koz, I mean, I guess you can argue it for both ways, like side to side and up and down, depending on what spell you're trying to dodge. So not the best example, I suppose, but when you're doing this stuff, your brain tends to autopilot because this is a really kind of soothing pattern where your brain is like, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep clicking like this, clicking like this, clicking like this. And eventually you don't think about anything here. That's why for a lot of you, I would really recommend that you just click as much as you need to click. So if you're content with the position you're in, then you can just stand still. There really isn't much of an issue with you standing still. If you're like silver, gold, plat, diamond, I don't know, like you don't need to be moving the whole time. And if you are moving, then there should be a purpose behind it. It's like right now, like what is she wiggling against? Like here, 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 like for what? Like for what? Just makes no sense, right? Like, what is this? Up, down, like, where are you going? What are you doing? Makes very little sense. Again, up, down, left, right. Like, all of this movement is so useless, right? And your brain is going to get really overwhelmed because there's no way that you're going to be thinking about this, because your brain, even if you do this on autopilot and you don't think about it, your brain still uses some resources to do it, right? It's like when you're doing something with your hands, like you're not going to be able to completely do something else the same while you're doing that. Obviously, you can probably, like, if you do that a lot, like, I don't know, like just do something with your hands. I don't know, man. Like some task. If you do that a lot, then, I mean, I guess, sure, you're not gonna notice it so much, but it's still there. Then see how they fall into this lull where they just do nothing the whole time. Like nothing has been done because we're AFK. And this really showcases how you need to not focus on doing random bullshit, but you need to focus on, first of all, the plan that you have, right? So your plan. So in the lane, like this guy's plan is to outrange her. This guy's plan is to like catch him off when he like uses spells or whatever. And they both would prefer to not be completely shoved in. And then secondly, to actually switch, you know, like defense, offense, like, and then punish the mistakes that the enemy makes, because both of them made a lot of mistakes, right? But you just have to look for the mistakes. But they're too focused on doing all of the other random stuff that you don't need to focus on to notice that, right? So what I recommend that you do is, first of all, cut needless clicking. So just pick a position you like and stand in it. And then if you have a spell that you need to dodge, then play around that. But you should learn the ranges of all the spells in your lane that you play. That's why you should stick to one lane and preferably one champ, because then you know your champ's range, which is also kind of a guideline for other champs' ranges, and you can learn all the meta champs' ranges, and then you can actually wiggle when it makes sense, right? Because the way you want to wiggle is, like, say that this is like his max range, you want to wiggle like here. You don't want to wiggle here, it's useless. You don't want to wiggle here, it's pretty much useless as well. This is where it has all the impact. Because here, he has to use a spell at max range, and then it's not too hard for you to dodge out of it. And when you dodge out of it, then he has no spell, and then you can walk up, and then you can punish. So these are some important things. And other than that, you really want to be thinking about the enemy's perspective. Like, how does he respond if I do something, right? So like, can the enemy do something to me, you know? I think maybe that's an okay way to explain it. But either way, it should at least give you some room for thought about these concepts, and you can either apply them or at least think about them a bit, and it can help you in a small way, I suppose. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, then like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.